Welcome to the Get It Done podcast, where you'll find me, Bradley Simmons, weight loss and fitness expert, chatting to other experts on why health is the key to success. If you haven't heard of our 5 pillars that get it done, they are mental, physical, emotional, social, and financial health. This podcast is going to help you build your 5 pillars, and therefore is going to build your success and, most importantly, your happiness. Let's get it done. Jim, it's great to have you on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
The health is the key to success.
Right.
2.4 million followers on Instagram, mate.
Yeah.
I know you're an OG when it comes to YouTube. It's
Right.
been a hell of a journey, 15 years.
Yeah.
Has it gone quick?
Well, yes and no. Like, I think life goes quick, like everybody. But I think the beauty of my career. So there's a thing that there's getting right into the psychology of it.
Love it.
People age based on their concept of time. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, like, for example, my kids are, one's about to turn 3, one's 1. Jesse's first year of his life is 100% of his existence.
Yeah.
So it's like a really long time for him. I'm 37
Yes.
right, in December.
Yeah.
So I'm now going into my 38th year. So each year is consequently a smaller chunk of time.
Yeah, it's getting quicker.
Do you know what I mean? So time actually goes faster. However, a lot of that is due to doing the same tasks all the time, like the monotony of life. Mm. My job's really cool. I get to adventure and explore and I get to do things. So because I'm always exposed to new experiences, actually time goes a little bit different for me compared to somebody who would, say, work in a traditional environment. So it has gone quick, but also there are so many moments that sort of stand out, and there are so many new experiences that have almost paused time here and there. So 15 years, it's nuts, but it's great.
Yes. And the adaptation year on year, obviously, YouTube's massively changed since you started.
I don't even use it really anymore.
You don't use it?
I can't remember the last time I posted on it.
Wow.
Yeah. Increasingly, it's harder to ask for. People want to scroll for 15 seconds, right? They don't want 15 minutes.
Yes.
And also, my life's more boring now. Like, I used to be doing stuff. I had no responsibilities. I had nothing to worry about. So I just go off and do things.
Yes.
Whereas now I'm sat mostly at my desk at home, writing, or I'm illustrating, or I'm doing other things that aren't great content, or I'm in the gym, or I'm with my kids and I don't want to share every moment of that.
Yes.
So posting a video on YouTube now, I don't think I could really make a 15-minute clip.
The thing is, could you not go into that dad world, you know? Life of a dad, how to be a healthy dad, how to stay in shape as a dad.
There is a lot of that on my Instagram. I've been really fortunate that my career has followed my life. Yeah. And not many people have been able to do that on social media because they fit into a category, and that's a category they're stuck with. I've been fortunate that my audience sort of, I guess, invested in me in the very early days. And as a result, they're sort of grown up with me. So I've done, the silly challenges. I've done some of the cool fashion stuff. I've sort of grown through to now parenting. And been very fortunate I've been able to sort of just followed that journey. Now it's my journey as a parent. So it's difficult to draw a distinction between where you make your kids perform and where it's my experience. And I'm really conscious of protecting them as much as I can. So I don't mind sharing things if it's my perception of parenting, but I'm never going to make them do a thing. So I don't want to.
Yeah, because you see a lot of YouTubers that they bring their kids into the action, right? Yeah. And it's something that you don't necessarily want to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky because I didn't grow up with any of this. I didn't have a privileged upbringing, right? And already my kids have travelled more than I ever did. Yes. I didn't leave the country till I was 22. Margot, my 3-year-old, has been all over the world already. And I can provide that for her, but it comes with the caveat of doing what I do for a living. And she's then... So it's really tricky to make that judgment. What is worth giving her the life that she has? And Jesse, but obviously he's smaller. And what does it cost me and potentially her for the exposure? So for me, I'm really conscious of if it's making my child do something online that she wouldn't normally do, or I won't even ask her to smile, things like that, because I don't want her to be out of her natural habitat. If, however, it's my experience of parenting and she happens to then be in that, then that's a different argument. Do you know what I mean? So I'm conscious of not making everything I do just about them, because I don't want them to grow up with It's really difficult.
The thing is, you started, I guess, 15 years ago where you were flying, obviously, and you've probably brought in a lot of income from YouTube and etc.
Yeah.
And there's people that are now starting to grow their YouTube now and need to bring their kids into the action probably to get the views.
And also, I mean, they might... there is nobody more experienced in my job than me.
Yes.
There's a few people who are as experienced who started at the same time as me, but I was there at the very beginning of it. There is probably no one on the planet who has done as much as me and those few. Yeah. And so with that comes a lot of lessons. And there are people now who are desperate to achieve online, become an influencer or whatever, and perhaps expose their kids, perhaps expose themselves, do whatever it takes to earn or get that clout. But ultimately, it doesn't mean anything.
Yes.
It depends on what your definition of success is.
Would you say your novelty is worn off? Because I remember when during the lockdown period, I was gaining so many thousands of followers, so many views, and it was brilliant because obviously everyone needed me during that lockdown period. Yeah. That was my time to shine, and I did. Right. And that dopamine was high as a kite. Yeah. And obviously everyone goes back to normal, and then dopamine is like, where's everyone gone? But obviously, luckily for me, I brought them onto my app, the Get It Done app, which is great. So I've turned it into a business. Right. Does the novelty wear off? Does that dopamine?
I've never really cared.
Never.
I mean, I care about my career. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm so fortunate to do what I do, and I love it, and I take it really seriously. But I've never cared about like the Jim Chapman of it. Okay. There was a time, maybe briefly, in the early days where it started really kicking off, and I was like, oh my god, I'm getting quite famous and important. Yeah. And very quickly, my family were like, don't be a dick.
You need that. You need the family to keep you humble, right?
I got an ass kicking, and my management will tell you that I'm a dream to work with because I turn up on time. I say yes. I say please and thank you. I deliver stuff when it needs to be delivered. But more than that, I'm respectful and I'm thankful and I'm grateful. And I have this could all disappear tomorrow. Yeah. If the internet decides to explode, or if there is someone better looking, funnier, taller, more handsome, look better in clothes, a better dad, whatever. My days are numbered, right? And I'm not, even though I've been doing this since the very beginning, I'm not immortal. I'm not.
And how long have you had that mindset? Because it's important for like influencers, other creators to understand that like you're not always going to be in the limelight. So you have to invest the money you earn wisely. Yeah. Maybe you have to think about businesses and being.
I wish I did that.
Yeah.
my issue is I'm not. I know what I don't know, and what I don't know is business. Yeah. I've always been really creative, and I've been fortunate enough that the money has followed the creativity. Yeah. Had I set up a business a while back, I'm not going to call it passive income because it's what you do is certainly not passive at all, but it's outside of only you, right? If you were to die tomorrow, the business can continue, right? It can outlive you. Had I done something like that, I'd be loaded. As it happens, listen, I do fine. I'm not going to complain about my income, but I'm not anywhere near as wealthy as the press would like to believe, or a lot of my audience assume I am. In fact, 2023 was my worst year for about a decade. And how do you deal with that financial stress? It's been really tough, actually, because I said to Sarah just the other day that I've never had more children and less money. Yeah. And that is just the inverse proportion of what you want. And because I've always earned really, really well. And then 2023 was a shocker. Why do you think 2023 was a shocker? A number of reasons. One, the cost of living crisis. Yeah. Two, my management were based out in LA at the time. Okay. And quite a small thing like time difference can make a huge impact because you just miss opportunities. But a lot of what I do is based in the UK, and so I need to go to the events and do all like the schmoozing. But my LA team didn't know any of the events were coming up, and it came down to just missing things. Yeah. And so it didn't work out. I moved management beginning of this year, and we're rolling again now. Good. However, I've got to make up for lost time because as it happened, I had a really quiet year following buying and renovating the house. So I've had my two most expensive years ever, followed by my quietest year ever. Yes. And when I say it's been tight, it's been really, really tight. Like I grew up without, we weren't privileged. We didn't have anything. And I said to Sarah, who has grown up privileged, I've been here before. So for your partner now? Yeah. I was like, I've been here before. Like it's fine. We'll make it work. And like, money isn't everything. However, it's really handy to have the choice. And we're at the point now where I don't have choice for a while until I get kind of back on my feet again. Mm-hmm. I have to make decisions based on necessity rather than simply because I want to. You know what I mean? And that's not really the environment I want to give my children. But it is what it is. And it certainly won't do them any harm. the stress it comes with, though, is high because back when I was growing up, didn't have any money, but we didn't have a big house to pay for. I live in Wimbledon now in a nice house. And suddenly I'm like, shit.
Mortgage is high. Cost of living is high.
Me and Sarah, do we sell? What do we do? So we're still kind of actually, we haven't fully decided because we're coming to that point where we're looking at schools and everything. So we might end up moving anyway. But it has been really hard. Had I set up a business years ago, had I had that...
with your following and amount of subscribers, if you turn into a subscription base. Yeah.
I mean, it would make sense. The issue is I don't understand business very well. And I'm humble enough and smart enough to know that. I would need someone to come on board with me because I live in the clouds most of the time. Do
you ever have business ideas though? And then maybe, do you know what? Okay, that's my vision. I need to set a plan.
Story ideas and vision, visual ideas. Like I spend a lot of my time writing, drawing, coming up with nonsense for the most part. And sometimes you can action them into something cool. I don't think really in numbers. I think in like shapes and colours and things. You know what I mean? And I'm almost the wrong person for this job because had I capitalised, had I had the right mindset for it, had I been a different person.
Because you've got people like Mr. Beast, for example, on YouTube, who's earning absolute millions, if not billions, from his creative. So he's turned that creative and he's money driven at the same time. So those two channeled together is a complete success.
This is also a thing. I've never really been driven by money. Up until because I
until you had 2 kids.
It means much more to me than I ever had. And I kind of don't like that about myself.
But people say, look, money doesn't bring happiness, but definitely brings comfort.
This is it.
And I also believe if you have money with the right people around you, that also brings happiness.
I'm kind of inclined to agree because it gives you the option to do things. You don't have to make decisions based on, and it gives you that freedom to explore a bit and to do the fun stuff. Whereas if you are constantly living just getting by, and that is what most of the country are doing right now.
Most country do, and you've seen the stress, you're seeing what's going on in the streets at the minute. It all comes down to financial stress.
It's really hard to complain about it because I also have those issues, but at a different level because my house is terrifying. But it's an issue nonetheless. And it is tricky to. Everything I have now goes to the children. Either when I die or if I'm lucky enough to be able to buy them their first house or pay for their education or whatever it may be. But suddenly I've got so much more skin in the game. I've just got less skin to put in the game.
But every good parent does that. They're putting to prioritise their kids. Like I have many online clients. They ring me up, they inquire, they go, Brad, I just don't know if I can afford it. I said, honestly, I understand you have to prioritise your kids. But once you start prioritising your health, you're going to be an even better parent.
100%. My time in the gym is my time where I'm not dad. I'm not husband. I'm not Jim Chapman doing social media stuff. I just sweat. And I just focus on me, or even not on me. It's basically meditation, right? Meditation is focusing on one thing for a while and clearing your mind otherwise. I have my music in. I lift heavy or I run about a bit or whatever it is, but it's my time to not have to think about any fucking thing else.
100%.
And it makes me a better dad, a better person. And it's one of those things that, again, Sarah and I have come into conflict about a few times because she's like, do you have to train 5 days a week? I'm like, well, you see what happens if I don't.
Yes.
Because, for example, we were living at Sarah's parents for 2 weeks because we rent our house out for Wimbledon for the tennis. And so we were staying with them and they obviously haven't got a gym and the gym's, I'm not a member anywhere there. So I was doing garden workouts, which is fine, but then it rained for like a week. So I didn't train for a week and I was miserable.
Yes.
And I sort of said, you see what happens if I can't work out. Like that hour a day for me is so important because I come back, I'm recharged, I'm refreshed, and then on top of that, you look better and you're stronger. I can throw my kids up in the air now without worrying about pulling my hamstring, and it's I'm physically better.
Well, I get it done. We talk about the 5 pillars of health. We talk about physical health, mental health, emotional health, social health, and we talk about financial health. And I strongly believe if you haven't got your physical health in check, those other 4 pillars will struggle.
Right. Yeah, of course.
And first thing in the morning, you wake up, get some sort of movement in.
Right.
That's going to release those endorphins to your brain, that dopamine, and also it's a sense of achievement.
Right.
And once you feel that sense of achievement, you're also then going to look after your nutrition after doing a good solid workout. And we know also when you look after your nutrition, that's going to create all that nice serotonin in your stomach from your gut microbiome that, as we know, is really important for your brain. So it all functions together. And I love the fact that you're saying that you take pride and you prioritize. It's non-negotiable for you to get that physical health in.
That is one of the things that I've said to Sarah. It's like, it is one that I'm really flexible. One of my non-negotiables is I have to train.
Yeah.
Or go for a walk even. I have to be out of the house for a bit. I can't do it all the time because it's the way my mind's never quiet. Yeah. I get anxious, I get depressed, whatever. I have a very busy brain. And that's where my creativity comes from as well. So it's my greatest asset. Yeah. Also my worst enemy if I don't keep it in check. I have to have a bit of time to be away from everyone else and also almost like away from myself, where I'm focusing on an activity where I can't really think about much else because I'm giving my attention to that. And it's nice to sort of escape my brain for a bit. Yeah. My brain's not always a lovely place, Yeah. So it's nice to it's not just nice, it's integral to do that.
Well, it's true. Like the most company we spend is in the company of ourselves. Right. So if you don't love yourself, if you don't respect yourself, if you don't build resilience, confidence, then you're going to struggle with other people in other relationships. So you have to work on yourself.
You absolutely need to. Yeah. It's so important. And I think, again, when you live, so both Sarah and I do similar jobs. So we both essentially work from home, right? We are under each other's feet all the time. And then the kids are there. So I don't go to work. Sometimes I go away for events and whatever, but for the most part, I don't go to work. I'm home with everybody, and it's intense because I've got two little people. Yeah. One's a year old and is just crawling around like a lunatic, just licking the plug sockets. One's about to turn 3 in a few weeks' time, and so is bashing into the walls and squealing and running. Yeah. Sarah is doing whatever she needs to do during the day as well. So it's a lot going on just under the roof. And then I'm trying to get work done on top of that, it is.
And many men, dads, probably relate to this. They're hearing this and going, oh, you know what, I can relate to that.
I mean, there is no job harder than parenting. Yeah. But you have to do that for free, right? So I have to go out and I have to earn. I'm the main breadwinner, so I have to earn the money. Me and Sarah have discussed whether I just go to an office environment for a few days a week or something, so that I can focus.
The old school traditional way.
But in a more traditional manner, because that way the temptation is for me, because I've got dad guilt, to go downstairs and get involved, or for Sarah, because she needs a break, to come and get me. And what that means is I'm neither working to my full capacity nor parenting to my full capacity. So I'm not doing either work. And one thing I really pride myself on is when I'm with the kids, my phone's down, I'm doing activities with them, or I'm taking them for walks, or I'm throwing them around the place. I'm invested. My time is theirs. I can't do that if I'm also checking my emails and trying to finish that line I was writing, or just kind of put the final render on this thing that I'm drawing. You know what I mean? I need that.
You need to be in your space. You need to concentrate for you to be at your very best.
Right. So I've sort of taken now to being in my office, and if my door's closed, it means fuck off.
Yeah.
But then to get the kids to bed for nap time, you have to go past my office, and I can hear Sarah go past and go, do a big sigh. And I'm like, oh, she's struggling. I should go help out. So it's tricky to.
You have to find that balance of supporting your partner, but also looking after yourself to make sure you're bringing the money in.
Totally. And I think post-pandemic, when now more people are working from home, I think that is cast into real perspective, particularly now because traditionally dads go out to work, mums stay at home. I know that's not always the case now, but for the sake of the analogy, we'll stick with that. It's much harder. I don't care what job you do, unless you're maybe like a fireman and you put your life on the line every day. It is much harder to be at home with two kids all day, right? There's no debate about that. But you don't get paid for that, and somebody has to earn the money to pay the bills. And if that happens to be the dad who is the guy who's going out to work all the time, then it has to be that way. And it's so difficult. And I promise you, it's really hard for that dad too, because they want to be there for bath and bedtime, and they want to share those moments, and they probably feel like they're missing things while they're grinding, but that's the role they have to fulfill.
Did you know that 1 in 5 have a gym membership but don't actually go? If you're listening and that sounds all too familiar, I have the solution. Get It Done, my wellness app, provides you with the choice between personalized gym guides, Goal Pacific guides, and hundreds of home workouts. You'll also get exclusive access to our community events and retreats. So whether it's time to cancel your gym membership and work out at home, or bring some structure and success to your gym schedule, the GID app can do just that for £18.99 a month. Not only that, we provide recipes and nutritional guidance so you can partner your workout regime with the right meal plans for optimal results. Life's too short to pay for a gym membership you're not using. It's time to get it done. I honestly give my credit to my sister so much. She works for me full time. She's got 2 young ones.
Yeah.
Ricky's out there working his nuts off to bring obviously the money in. Yeah. Connie's obviously, I pay her well. But she said, Brad, it's so expensive childcare, etc.
Oh my God. Yeah.
She said, so people have to work. There's no choice.
Yeah.
And it's a tough decision. Does one stay at home?
Right.
Then we don't live the life that we want to live.
Yeah.
We can't bring in the income we want to bring in.
Our
but then childcare, so
up by 3 just because of childcare. Prior to that, like we pay the mortgage, we run the car.
Yeah.
No, there's not much else coming out, right? And then you have kids, and suddenly we've got nursery for 2 of them. Actually, Jessie doesn't start yet until the early next year.
But it'll come to that, won't it?
It will, yeah, totally. And we also have a nanny a few days a week, so that Sarah can work and I can work.
Yeah.
It is so expensive, and you have to get to the point where, because of our job, if I have the nanny in that day and I don't have a job on, I'm like,
so you're on a minus.
But equally, I can't not have her in because that's her job. So I'm really good at capitalizing on that time. And if she's in and I don't have a job, I'll find myself something else to do. But the thought is there, I'm paying her a day's wages. Yeah. And I'm not earning anything today.
And look, you can see why the birth rate has gone down, especially people in the 30s. Like women at the first time ever are not having kids until they're 35, and the birth rate has gone massively down. Simply maybe because of the cost of living.
There's not a parent. There's not a parent or someone who wants to be a parent I know in London who is not stressing about it. Yeah. Sarah's friends there's about 3 of her friends who are sort of getting to that mindset, but they're like, fuck, I can't afford it. I've crunched the numbers, and the wages I earn now and their partner earn will not cover it. Yeah. So do we then have to quit our jobs and move to a different part of the country in order to fulfill that? Or do we just wait even longer? Yeah. At which case, it gets harder and harder the older you get.
And it makes sense for women to want to find a man who's on a very good salary. And it makes sense for men not to want to have kids until they're financially secure. Yeah. So they don't want to settle down.
The issue is I was financially secure.
Yeah. But when you are financially secure, it's so important to invest it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you done any investments at all?
No, I mean, I have a financial advisor.
Yeah, which is important. I think everyone should have one of those.
Yeah, totally. And I'm always like, I'll do it soon, but I'm just going to buy this house, for example, first and renovate it. So there's always a reason why not to. Again, had I started doing, even if I just squirrel away a little bit each month, it'd be fine by now. But I don't do money very well. I'm not frivolous at all. Actually, I'm quite sensible with it, but I don't it really turns me off. Yeah.
But do you think, obviously, the likes of podcasts, there's so many podcasts out there about financial well-being and where to put your money. We did a podcast recently with a financial expert. Yeah. We didn't have that when we was younger.
No.
We didn't have that. We had no access to that. So when you was earning good money as a YouTuber, you probably didn't have anyone to advise you to put anything.
I had my financial advisor sort of fairly early on, but I wasn't earning enough to do anything with it, and I was young and silly. And
of course, you want to live, you enjoy it.
And I'd never had money before, so when I first started earning, I was like, oh my god, it was great fun. And then,
what were the most outrageous things that you might have spent on?
I don't know. I bought a couple of watches.
Yeah, well, they're investments.
Yeah. They're
investments.
Totally. Silly holidays I didn't need to go on, that sort of stuff.
Memories.
Memories. Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't regret any of it. Yeah. Because it all comes with some bonus, whether a memory. I don't think any of it I've just wasted. What I will say is the mortgage I had on the house that I lived in prior was disgusting. And so I spent a lot.
Did your mortgage rates go up?
This was about 10 years ago. Okay. When I was living with my ex. It was a disgusting mortgage repayment, the amount we paid each month. Yeah. But I didn't realize that most of it was just interest. Yeah. So when we broke up, and we were like, do we sell the house? Do you want to keep the house? How's it going to go? We looked at it and we were like, we don't own anywhere near as much as we thought we did based on how much we were paying each month.
100%.
Because it was mostly interest.
Around only about 500 quid actually goes towards the mortgage. Yeah, and the 2,000, the rest of it goes to the bank.
It was rank. And when we counted the numbers, that's less than we thought. So that was silly because we didn't need to have a house that big. Yeah. But
people even question now, is it worth getting a house with the mortgage rate? Is it worth just renting where you want to live and invest your money elsewhere?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is how I invest in the Cotswolds. So I end up buying cottages for a lower price, renovating them, and then put them on Airbnb, and I enjoy them with my family. Yeah. But they do very well on Airbnb.
Right.
It's been a little bit difficult this year because obviously we've seen people struggling financially. After COVID, it went, poof,
yeah, I bet.
Fully booked, and the prices were quite high and people were happy to pay for it. So we've seen a little bit of a dip, but and then for me, do I just rent in London? Do I rent where I want to live?
Right.
I love Barnes, I love Parsons Green, I love Richmond, I love the greenery, I love how sporty it is, the good schools, so many coffee shops, pubs. We get to the age of 30 now, that's all we care about. Is there a coffee shop? Is there a nice pub? That's all we care about. So it's one of those, do we just rent where I want to live in London and continuously like invest elsewhere? It's a question. It's a debate
because what I've done previously, and actually what I really enjoy doing, is renovating, and I would love to be able to do that with every house. I've done it with all the houses I've owned so far, and I've made like decent return on them. However, doing it, I'd have to have enough to buy a second house because I wouldn't do it again with kids. Having done it previously with this house that we're currently in, when we had Margot and then Sarah was pregnant with Jessie, it was not worth the money that I've made on the house. The house is now worth much more than I paid for it.
Yeah, which is
great. And when we sell, I'll get all that money back, and great.
Yeah.
But the stress of doing it with two little ones, well, one little one and a pregnant wife, was just, I hated it. And I actually love the creativity of it. I love the adventure of transforming a room and seeing the vision like come to life. And I would love to actually do that as a more like an
interior designer.
Yeah, that, or I'd like to buy, renovate, sell.
Yeah,
but not the house I live in because I do not want to do that again with little people. It was really, really stressful, and also like again stressful for Sarah. One, she was pregnant. The second time around we did it, so obviously really difficult. But also she has never really experienced that sort of stuff before. Because like I said, she grew up quite privileged, so she's never really had to do that. And also she's not quite as creative as me, so doesn't love the process quite so much. So for her, suddenly living in, cooking on a little tiny hob or microwave food for a bit while the kitchen's being done was a much more inconvenient for her than it was for me.
Simply from your upbringing,
So for a lot of the time, I was like, right, you go off to your parents' house. Like I was stripping lead paint off the off the stairs, and obviously when she was pregnant, I was like, don't be around lead. So go to your parents' house for a bit. But also, there was just a lot of times where she was like, I can't do this, it's too much. And I was like in the thick of it, covered in dust, lifting heavy stuff and like breaking things.
It's an test on your relationship, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we've done a lot. We've only been together 5.5 years.
Yeah.
We've had pandemic, 2 houses, renovated both of them, actually. 2 kids.
But if you can get through that, I guess you can get through anything, right?
Yeah. It's been hectic, and we keep saying no more life events. And the last time I said that was the day before she told me that she's pregnant with Jessie.
Because I guess when you're younger, you think, I want to be married today. It's going to be so exciting. I want to be so happy. And then the reality is, all this is stressful.
It's work,
and you have to be compatible, right?
Yeah, relationships are work. 100% they are. And if you are willing to work together at it, then they can be great. But they're not always easy, particularly when you have such differing like mindsets.
Yeah.
Sarah's much more business savvy than I am, but what she doesn't have is the opportunity that I've had, like with the following that I've got and the career that I've had. And she often says, oh, if I were you, I would have done this. And I'm like, oh, shut up. Yes. Because you weren't me and you didn't do it.
And that's so, like, in the past as well. Coulda. So it's not going to make any difference.
Yeah, totally. I'm like, shoulda, woulda, coulda. But, look where we are. We're doing all right.
You're doing well. But I think is when I date a girl now, I of course she's going to be beautiful, great, but it has to be more than that now.
Yeah.
When I was 23 to 25, 20 to 25, I might have just looked at beauty and that was it. It's fine. Now at the age of 30, I need to go, what are you bringing to the table? Because I understand we are going to potentially go through some tough times. I need to know that you're resilient, you're strong, and you're going to stick by me too.
If they're your partner, the difference between that is that, you want a partner now. And if you were just going for beauty, you wanted...
just
aesthetics.
A bit of fun and
totally. Yeah, but you can't go through life with someone who is only one thing. They have to. That's what a partnership is.
Yeah,
one might bring in more money, but then the other one has to input in a different capacity.
100%. Another pillar, mental health.
Right.
Obviously, you mentioned the anxiety you've had to deal with and mental health issues. You've obviously spoke about how you have to do exercise. What other things do you do to cope with that anxiety and that mental health?
I've been doing loads of therapy for 12, 13 years.
Again, 12, 13 years ago, everyone would be like, oh, he's doing therapy, he must be struggling.
Do you know what's funny?
But now it's like, do you know what, that's really important.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there are a lot of things that I have always done just because that at that time people were like, oh God, gay. Like,
Yeah,
for example, when I
yeah.
first started doing YouTube and I was into fashion content and things, I had so many comments going, you're so gay.
You really
look at social media now. It's all
it's very camp.
But there's so many like men dressing how they want to dress, being who they want to be. It doesn't matter what you know what I mean. But back then it was like, oh, you're so gay. You care about what you look like. I'm like, because you know, like
well, you're a creator. That creator came out of you.
I take pride.
And you was penalised by it.
Right, take pride in it. You know, so I think it's that the therapy. You know, like a lot of the things that I've one thing that I'm quite good at is not giving a shit about what other people think.
Yeah, I think that's really important. That's a skill. Yeah. Especially in our industry.
Yeah, absolutely is. Sarah, again, really struggles with it. She gets a negative comment. I'm like, oh, laugh all the way to the bank.
Yeah,
what
exactly,
does it matter? And so I needed the therapy because, not to be too dramatic, I would have killed myself.
Okay.
You know?
Some people can relate to that too, listen to that.
I'm sure. But like, if I didn't have it, I simply just wouldn't be doing this podcast with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's really important. And also, like, why wouldn't you? It makes you a better person. Why would you not want to enjoy life more? Why would you not want to maximize?
Well, men will see it as a weak thing to do, to go and seek help. Right. They need to do it themselves. They need to figure it out themselves. And sometimes, obviously, that can have consequences.
100%. And what I know is I'm a better, happier, stronger, more resilient person to my friends, my family, my kids, my partner, my wife. To me, I'm nicer to myself than I would have been otherwise. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't I want to experience that? Well, I go to the gym and I work out and I want abs. So I've got abs. Of course. I also want to enjoy it. Like, life's beautiful. Life's fantastic. Like, why not just...
And how often did you see your life coach or
I used to see her once a week.
Yep.
Then it was like once a fortnight. Then it was like once a month. And now it's sort of like as and when. Yeah.
So when you need it. When
I need it, I'll message, be like, I feel a bit shit. Can we have a chat? I mean, to be honest, even right now, like I'm low. Like you won't know it now because I'm here and I'm on and I'm presenting myself. On the drive over, glassy eyed. Yeah. Listen to Coldplay. Fucking miserable. Yeah. And I've been pretty low for a couple of weeks. But what I also know is that it comes and it goes, and I know the cause and effect, and I also know I have the tools at my disposal to be better. And what are those tools? Because people listen to go, I don't know how to get out of this rut. It's tough. What are these tools? Because you've been there before. To give sort of like advice because it'll be different for everybody. But for yourself, what works for you? For myself, my temptation is to just fuck off and disappear for a bit. Like I won't talk, I won't communicate. I'll just... When I say like glassy eye, I mean I just sort of stare into space and I feel low, and that's what I want to do, and it is so difficult for me to come out of that and go, actually, do you know what? I need to be around people. I need to be brought back into the environment, the moment, like get back because as much as I was saying a minute ago, like I love life and it's fantastic. Why wouldn't you want to experience it? Like even with all the therapy I've had and all the tools that I have at my disposal and everything, I'm going through a bit of a depressive episode as we speak. Mm-hmm. And you won't know it because we're talking now and the people that I talk to on a daily basis will have no idea. Yeah. Sarah knows. She's like looking at me constantly going, oh God, because I'm no fun. And I know I'm no fun. Mm-hmm. I'm no fun to be around, but I'm also no fun to be. Yeah. Like it's just, it's low, it's miserable, but I've been here a million times before. And how do you get out of it? Again, I need to be kind to myself and take time. I need to force myself to go to the gym. I went this morning, had a really good workout. I need to make sure that I'm actually communicating rather than just... Because my job is really insular. Yeah. I don't have to talk to another human being all day, but I can reach millions of them. And they'll have no idea how I'm actually feeling,
I would say about 90% of my clientele know exactly what they need to do with their physical health and their nutrition, but what they lack is accountability. And that's where I step in as an online coach. I give you your tailored program, your meal plan, and I give you that guidance and support throughout the whole journey to make sure that you get the results that you want and you progress to a stronger, healthier, resilient individual. So if you want to step things up and really improve the way you feel, the way you look, then my online coaching is for you. So if you want to receive 25% off my online coaching, simply click the link in the description of this podcast, complete the inquiry form and type transformation to make sure that you receive your 25% discount. I'll be in touch. We'll have a video call so I can understand a little bit more about yourself. I'll explain how my online coaching works and then we'll get to work and we'll get it done. Life is too short not to feel at your very best.
I can be in my office all day long listening to music and drawing or writing or whatever I'm doing and not actually talk to somebody. So I sent a message to a mate this morning, being like, can we hang out? Just want to be.
That's really important, isn't it? Being around.
I don't need anything other than to be in your company for a bit. Because
that's another pillar we talk about, is social health and how important that is. Creators like us, we can be so busy and I enjoy what I do, but sometimes do you know what? I haven't seen my mates in ages. And there's a different type of dopamine I get from them. Yeah. That young Bradley comes out and that's really needed. Yeah. And there's a study that says men are most happiest when they are around their mates. Yeah. Oh God. I mean, there are times where I'd take my friends over my family. Of course. Like, it's a different experience. Yeah. It's a different, like you said, it's a different sort of dopamine. It's a different high. It's a different, no, you know how people always say, just be yourself. Yeah. Worst advice ever, because everybody is somebody different with different people. Yes. The gym that I am to myself on my own is a vastly different gym I am to the one with my children. Yeah. Or with my wife, or with my friends. I'm different with all of them, and that's normal. So it bothers me when people say, "Oh, you know, just be yourself, just be you." I'm like, which one? Yeah, exactly. Which one? Because that can be quite confusing for some people. Yeah, if you said that to someone they don't actually like themselves, they're like, "Well, that's not great advice." And also, if I'm just being me right now, I'm forcing myself to not be me and to message my mate and go for a drink because I know that's what I need. Yeah. Not what I want. What I want is just to sit on my own and wallow and be miserable. Yeah. But I've done that before loads of times and it's counterproductive and I end up going deeper and darker until I can't see a way out. Yeah. Right. So I have to stop trying to sort of like to be me and be a different version. Because the 5 cliches of like how to improve your mental health is physical exercise. Right. Set yourself goals. Yeah. So you have something to work towards and you have a purpose. Vitamin D, make sure you're outside as much as you can. Stay away from alcohol and processed foods. Yeah. And sleep. Make sure you get your sleep in. The issue is though, try telling someone who's depressed to go and do a run. They don't want to do that. And also they can't sleep. I can't sleep at the moment. Yeah. You know, I go to bed and I just lay there. My brain's so busy stressing about whatever I'm stressing about or making up new fucking things to stress about. Yeah. I have, it's difficult. I'm sleeping a couple of hours a night, you know? You can't just tell someone to sleep. You can't just tell them because when you're depressed and the lethargy kicks in, they're not going to go and lift weights. You have to, those things do absolutely work. Don't get me wrong. You know, but you can only really do them when you're already in a healthy mindset. You can't just tell someone to go, right, we're going for a run. Yeah. And so I guess your environment has to be important. Totally. But that's also where the therapy comes in, you know, and where those strategies that you learn, because it takes a lot of self-discipline. It takes a lot of self-love as well. Like, you know, I'm at the point where I don't like being me at the moment today. But I also know that I'm really good, you know, and the things that I'm feeling aren't true. They just feel true. You know, I've got people around me who love and adore me. They can't all be wrong because I feel shit. You know what I mean? Like I know that, but it's taken me so long to know that. And so that's where that kindness has to come through. I have to be better to myself in order to, like I went to the gym this morning and I dragged myself there because I know, because I've had enough experience with this, enough therapy. Yeah. But it's really hard to do that for most people who haven't had the therapy that I've had. Yeah. Because there's so many people there that aren't maybe in your situation right now. They're struggling with their mental health. Right. And they don't do any physical exercise. Right. They don't find time for themselves. Do you know what I mean? So you found the tools and you implement them every single day. It's tough. There's a lot of people that aren't doing that. What's your advice to those people? Get help. help.
Speak to somebody, and not just like a mate, not just like your mum or your partner or your friend, because they'll tell you what you want to hear for the most part, or they will try to give you like home truths or whatever and try and give you tough love, which won't necessarily be the answer either. Talking to a professional who's also impartial, it's really important that the person that you talk to actually doesn't know you, they care, don't get me wrong, but they're not part of your world. They're an external resource who are professional and experienced and qualified. And also, they might not be the one for you. You might go a few times and realize you don't quite gel. They don't quite understand what you're saying. That's fine. Go find somebody else. Yeah. And it is hard to begin with. That first step is really difficult, and it gets harder for the first sort of few, depending on how intensively you're doing it, for the first few weeks, because you're made aware of the things that you're doing and your unhealthy mind patterns and your thought process and all that stuff, but you don't yet know how to combat it. I've been doing it nearly 15 years and I'm struggling, but I also know that I'll be okay, and that's the difference. I am not in that helplessness phase that I used to get into, because I'll be all right. I know I will, because I'm great. And I've got,
and you remind yourself of the positive you got. You got a loving family. You got lovely kids.
And I've got every resource at my own disposal, because I'm smart and I'm attractive and I'm strong and I'm fit and I'm healthy, and I have all these positive things at my disposal that I will put into practice. But I know that now, after all these years, if first time round when I first felt shit, the reason
what was that first experience like? That very first experience like?
Fog.
Just because you're like, what is going on?
I mean, I think I've always been prone to it, even as a kid, because I've always been like a troubled artist. You know what I mean? Like I've been a thinker, a muller. I just sort of ruminate. And my childhood was traumatic. I actually don't remember most of it because it's all sort of tucked away somewhere. And I've always had that potential to go that way. But I think for me, when it really sort of kicked off was when I was just graduated from university. So first sort of like semblance of responsibility, not even like, but real life coming. And I thought I'll go out and just crush it, go out and get a cool job. And, and I ended up working in jobs that were not at all.
Weren't fulfilling you.
Not even in the slightest. And I knew that they would go, I could potentially be there for the rest of my career, rest of my life, until I retire.
I think a lot of people are experiencing that. I think they finish university, the society is pushing them into, obviously, you finish school, you go into college, you go to university, you do a course that you don't really enjoy doing, but your parents say, just follow it, get yourself a job in the city, you're working in the city, you're traveling to with no fulfillment, no passion.
Right.
You're boozing on the weekends, you're spending your money on trying to get that dopamine rush. And eventually it takes its toll, like the rat race, right?
Yeah, it is. But totally. But it wasn't even just a rat race for me. It felt like that was all there was.
Yeah.
It was just like this miserable sort of like weight, this like fog that I couldn't see through, of just go to work, come home from work, make your lunch for the next day, go to bed, wake up,
repeat,
rinse and repeat. Oh, great, it's Friday. So Friday afternoon, but okay, great, weekend. Saturday, woohoo. Sunday, work tomorrow.
Fuck.
And that was
a vicious cycle, isn't it?
What when I speak to people now who tell me that they hate their job, I'm like, don't do it then.
Yeah.
You cannot put a price on. You spend most of your good years doing it, right? You got your childhood where you're just running like a lunatic and having the best time ever, and then from that point until the point that you retire, that's the biggest chunk of your life. Yeah. And the most time you spend, probably 5 days a week of that time, that's your job. If you hate it, if it doesn't bring you joy, do not do it.
Yeah.
Like,
understand, look at what you have as a skill set,
right,
and where your skill set could succeed in other places.
I appreciate that you can't just suddenly not do it. Because you've got to make a living.
I always say to people, find a little side hustle, which maybe you can focus on the weekends, and that could turn into your full-time job.
Or at least be like open to opportunities. And like, I'm not saying just suddenly quit your job, because then you're going to have no money and you'll be even worse. But my point is, find a passion, find a thing. I really believe that everybody has a passion.
Of course.
I can't think of how sad your life would be if nothing brings you joy. So whatever it is that brings you joy, find a way to incorporate that into your into
I don't
your
think it's healthy to live for the weekend. I think people should be waking up on a Monday excited for the week ahead.
Yeah.
And then to be able to go, okay. I always say have something also to look forward to in a diary.
Yeah.
Because months and weeks go so quick.
Yeah.
So you have something to work for. I always have something in the day to work towards.
Right.
I go, do you know what? I'm going to work my nuts off. I'm going to graft because I know I've got that in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
And that's when I can slow down and switch off.
These things are really
I understand some people don't have the privilege to do that, but it could just be a case of visiting a nice little town in the UK.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be
It could just
expensive.
be a thing. It can be a picnic or
Yeah.
Accountability is most people's downfall when it comes to reaching health and fitness goals. You've got the gym membership, you've got the best intentions, you know what you want to achieve, but you just can't seem to stay consistent, so you give up or settle for little or no results. My one-to-one coaching is designed to create a specific plan for you to follow with your goals in mind. But with the added bonus of regular check-ins and communication, you will have the accountability you're missing and therefore no choice but to level up and get it done. So if you're listening to this episode and it's time to level up, hold yourself accountable and get the results you want, I'll give you 20% off my one-to-one coaching. All you have to do is include the word transform in your inquiry form, link in the episode description.
But I really, so many people I know are miserable in the careers they have.
Yeah.
That's what you are going to do for most of your time.
Well, most men that commit suicide tend to be in finance and banking. So the jobs that bring you the most money, those bonuses are unbelievable, but you're just not happy.
No.
So
you don't get time to spend it either because you're constantly working.
And you're going to struggle with your relationship because people that do banking or financial or your stocks, etc., you're working constantly, serious hours, lack of sleep. You haven't got structure. Your physical health is not where it needs to be. And if your physical health is not where it needs to be, your mental health will massively struggle, despite how much money is coming into your bank account.
The physical health has to come first because you won't realise how important it is until you haven't got it.
Yeah.
My stepdad died of cancer and you know, we watched him deteriorate and nothing else matters all of a sudden.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you haven't got that first, you realise how unimportant everything else is. The 5 pillars are amazing. You need that first one because it holds all the others up. Without that, it doesn't if you haven't got your physical health, then suddenly you haven't got your emotional health or your mental health either, for the most part. You can't go out and do much. It can ruin your entire existence because your body isn't working the way. Now, whether that's illness or laziness or whatever it may be.
Education as well.
Or lack of education. Yeah, like there are...
Do you know only 12% of the UK are members of the gym?
Is that so?
Only 12%.
Yeah, fine. Yeah.
Or some people might be active, might be doing weights at home, but only 12% of members. And maybe they can't afford to, or maybe they're just not educated. It's not part of their culture or their lifestyle.
Yeah.
We live in a bubble of London where everyone's looking after their health. Everyone's in the gym. Their first question, what gym do you go to?
Yeah.
Outskirts of London, it's not that at all.
Right.
So that's something that definitely needs to change. And you see the BC levels in UK.
My mum's a great example, right? So my mum's 67 and she's bionic. Like she looks incredible. She runs every day with her dogs. But after we lost Brian, my stepdad, she sold the house because it was too big for her to be rattling around in, and she moved to a slightly different area. And she was really sad. She was really lonely. And I knew she was lonely, but my mum's very much like me and would just sort of like shrink away and disappear. She wouldn't tell me. And it wasn't until she joined the gym around the corner from her. So she still does her running. She still goes out with the dogs and everything, but she joins the gym and it's actually for her a social thing. And she finally told me, maybe 6 months ago, was like, I was really lonely and sad before, but now I've got the gym, I've got like a community there, I'm much happier. And I was like, I knew it. Why didn't you tell me? I would have come and visited. I would have
of course.
I don't want to inflict myself on you if you don't.
But I also don't I think it's important that your mum doesn't just rely on her kids. I think she also needs her own life outside of family.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of mums, they obviously prioritise their family and that's what they focus on. And it's great. A good mum does do that. But they also, I say to my mum all the time, Mum, you need more friends than just your sisters. And
I'm so aware of this for my mum.
You have to have your own little community doing, whether it's going to the gym, finding some sort of run club or walk club, something.
She has 8 grandkids now and she will drop everything.
Of course she will,
to help any of them. You know, each of my siblings has 2. And so my mum is exceptional.
Yeah.
But she has a caravan that she goes to, like a static home that she goes to on the beach, and she's got a few friends there, and she basically lives there in the summer, and it's lovely for her. And now she goes to the gym. But I'm always like, Mum, be fat and happy. Like, you're 67 now. You don't need to be like watching your calories quite to that extent. You don't need to restrict yourself quite so much. You don't need to like
have that obsessive behavior.
Yeah.
So I would argue at that age, you need to look after your nutrition more so than when you were younger.
Yeah.
Because of bone density, gut microbiome,
but there's a difference between like optimizing nutrition and just restriction.
100%.
Right.
Of course,
and
we can agree on
my
that.
mum doesn't know that very well. And so I always say to people with my mum, she's such a martyr, if it didn't hurt, it wasn't worth it. It's basically her motto. And so I'm really conscious of her enjoying life now. I'm like, you're at the point. I know that we lost Brian, and I don't think she'll ever really move on from that. And so she lives for the rest of us. You know, she's always at our disposal.
That's her
and
purpose.
It's lovely and it's helpful.
Yeah.
But there is more for her. And I'm always like, do like experience, go.
Yeah.
Like,
We keep saying to my mum as well.
yeah.
100%, mum, you have to live your life now.
Yeah.
You have to. So they're renovating a lovely little place in Isha. I said, mum, with the income that you're coming in from, she's going to rent out the back of it.
Right.
Use that to go and explore, travel, go where you want to go.
Right.
Eat where you want to eat.
Yeah.
Have as many coffees as you want. Go and get your hair done. Do you know what I mean? And because she didn't do that, every penny that she saved was to go for her kids.
Right.
It's time now for you to look after yourself.
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, this is morbid, but she's in the twilight. She's 67.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
tops, she's got 30 years more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
But 10, 15 years of good quality.
yeah.
Before the pains and the aches.
Super healthy. I'm like, use that. You've worked really hard all your life to maintain the body that you've got.
Yeah.
Like, do stuff with it.
Yeah, but now we've got the information, the education.
Right.
Anyone listen to this, start young, look after your health young, gain as much muscle as you can. I'm not saying be a bodybuilder, be stacked. Just focus on your muscle mass. Focus on maybe having a lower body fat percentage.
Yeah.
Because we're looking at longevity.
Yeah.
Longevity is key.
Do you know what's really depressing? I turned 37 in December, and I'm watching the Olympics at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, I couldn't compete in anything. I mean, I'm obviously not having the ability, but I'm now too old.
Yeah.
I'm now in the best shape of my life.
Yeah.
Because I'm training harder. And I'm stronger and I'm fitter and all that stuff. Had I started, I mean, I've been training for since I was in my, you know.
You've definitely got the build to be a runner. Like,
I could be really good at lots of things.
Yeah.
I'm not, because I didn't do it early enough.
Yeah.
You know, I started training maybe when I was like 18, 19, whatever, but I didn't know anything about it. I just go to the gym, do some biceps and go home again.
You weren't doing protein, creatine.
I wasn't doing I wasn't squatting heavy. I wasn't doing like the fundamentals, you know. And so like my squat, my deadlift, and my bench press are actually quite weak comparably to a lot of the other stuff I do, because I haven't had that foundation there. They're getting better, but it's harder to get better now at 37
of course,
than it would have been had I been doing it in my early mid-20s, right? So I'm aware that I look good now, but had I been doing this years back, I'd be like bulletproof.
Yeah.
You know? My goal now is to get as good as I can be for the age I'm at.
Yeah. Because in 20 years' time, when your kids are grown up, you want to be as active and able as possible.
Yeah.
And you want to be a role model to them.
Yeah, and I want to be able to like keep up with them.
Do you show your kids that you're exercising? I think that's so important.
Yeah, I do a lot of stretching at home. Well, I say a lot. I do some stretching at home, and Margot comes in with me and does the most ridiculous stretches by my side. She's like, "Stretching, Daddy." She's not
But she's learning though, because when she's older, it's not a chore for her. She's seen exercise.
She knows I go to the gym most days, and that's one of the only times when I leave the house she doesn't cry.
Yeah. Okay,
because she knows I come back in an hour.
Yeah.
So if I'm wearing like nice clothes and I go, "Daddy, where are you going?" and she gets a bit sort of like. Sometimes I'll hear her cry as I close the door, "Daddy!" But if I'm in my gym kit, she knows it's something I do most days. Yeah. And I'm coming back in.
And she knows you come back in a good mood. She's like, good, Dad's gone.
Yeah.
And for them, she's now, when she turns 15 to 18 to 20, she going to the gym is a normal, important thing to do. She's seen that from you. So you'll be in the role model in that situation. I don't want to force
my children into anything at all. Like, I never want to be that parent who's like, play piano and make them do a thing. Yeah. I do want to really encourage physical health above much else.
Yes.
Because, like I said before, once that goes, the rest of it crumbles.
Yeah, you know? Big time.
And I want them to have a body that, like, I used to pull my back constantly, up until genuinely about a year ago. Yeah. Same muscle every time, because I had my posterior chain's fairly tight, and so I have to do a lot of stretching. Since doing the stretching and since deadlifting heavier, I feel better. I stand up.
Yeah. Posture's better.
You know, all that stuff is just stronger now. And I know that I can pick up Margot out of her bed without thinking, oh God, it's going to go, you know. And I want my kids to experience a body that works for them as long as they possibly can.
Of course. And what does it do to your confidence and self-esteem as well? Obviously, you're in a nice outfit today, as you always are.
I feel better. My shoulders are a bit broader. I mean, I've got broad shoulders anyway. But they're pinned back a bit more. There's nothing worse than being. There's lots of things worse, but I'm 6'3" and I'm slim. Like, this is me big. I don't put weight on very easily, and I don't mind that. Like, I quite like being lean. I'm neat. Yeah. But when you're my height and you're my build and you slouch, suddenly you look much taller and much lankier because everything's pushed forward and you're all rounded and your arms hang below your knees because your shoulders are so far forward. Yeah. You do a bit of this and suddenly you look lean. Yeah. I always call it like stealth buff. Yeah. Or like Brad Pitt Fight Club. Yeah. But you don't really know about it, and then you take your top off and go, bow. Okay, he looks good. And a lot of that is just postural stuff. I do a lot of... and
it's first impression as well. So if someone sees you lean, they're like, oh, he looks a bit upset. He's not someone I want to work with.
Because I'm at my desk a lot and I'm typing, or I'm drawing, and that's really lopsided because I draw with my right. So like my right arm is down here somewhere, you know what I mean? And so it's very easy for me to get lopsided. And to get sort of like hunched. So I spend a lot of time just doing a lot of like opening and a lot of shoulders to pin it all back.
Mobility is so important.
Yeah.
Especially if you're doing a lot of strength training, also your muscles going to get tight. Yeah. That mobility is so important.
Yeah, my chest and shoulders are actually probably more mobile than the rest of me because I focus quite a lot on that. And I used to get like this used to get quite impinged and I get quite sore there, especially if you do like upright row things. Whereas now my shoulder health's really good because I focus on it. And I think actually for me, more than anything else, aesthetically, not even sort of anything to do with sort of function and whatever. If you're a tall guy and you're a slim guy and you round, it's not an attractive look. If you're tall and you're slim and your shoulders are back and your chin's high, you look much more in control. You look much more like you look stronger. You look
like a leader.
Yeah. You
have that presence. You have that masculine presence, which people like. They're attracted to. Of course,
totally. And you feel better.
Yeah.
And because I'm tall, I'm always looking down at other people, so my head. You know what I mean? So I get to the end of the day and I'm like,
oh yeah, good.
Or I'm on my phone. So I'm really conscious of actually doing a lot of this stuff from here up, just to sort of keep it all.
Well, people listening will definitely take that fact that you take care of your physical health, which is massively important for every other pillar, for sure. What would you say is your key to success?
I don't know. I think my marker of success is not the same as most people's. I'm not overly driven by money. Yeah. For me, my marker of success is actually completing a project. Like at the moment, I'm working on something which hopefully will... I mean, it ticks so many of my boxes because it's creative, it's telling a story. I'm hoping I can use some of my art ability in it too. I've been working on it a couple of years, waiting on some news on it, so, fingers crossed. But that, for me, even if it ends up not being created successful to the outside world, because I know what's gone into it and I have poured my heart and my soul into it, and I'm hoping that it will lead to much, much more. That, for me, will be a huge moment privately. It doesn't even have to be a huge thing outward. I mean, I'd love it to be, but we'll see. So I think for me, I've been doing this industry long enough and I've been sort of Jim Chapman for long enough that the outward success doesn't really bother me. Like I would very happily, when my time on the internet is done and I'm ready to call it quits, to just slip away. I don't need to make a big announcement. I don't need to do a thing. I just want to go, thanks, and just go. So it's not about income. It's not about owning things. It's more for me about like the things that I...
Finding, I guess, purpose and fulfillment which works for you and sticking to that rather than what society wants you to do.
Yeah, it's the things that I create, that I make. I've come to the conclusion, this is, again, sounds really wank, that I have to make a thing every day in order to feel like I've achieved the day. And whether that's drawing a picture or posting some content or writing something, I have to have given more than I've taken for my day. And so for me to be able to hopefully start making that into income in more than just the internet, that would be my my success. But less about the income itself, more that's more just sort of a token, sort of like, right, you've done it, you've achieved it. the amount doesn't matter so much. It's more about the fact that I've done it and it's good enough that people want it.
Okay.
You know?
Cool. Yeah, good. We'll end it there, mate. It's been a great chat.
Yeah.
It's
sorry,
flown. No, mate. No. It's flown by. We've only got 2 minutes left, but I feel you finish off on a good point there. So, mate, it's been class having you on board.
Thank you.
A lot of people are going to take a lot from that as well.
I hope so.
There's going to be a lot of people relating to that. So, yeah, class, mate. We'll have you on again another time soon.
Yeah. Cheers.